ankle, the inferior and superior tib-fib joints. So we're in for a lower extremity today as opposed to the upper extremity yesterday. So we're going to look at various common problems with the foot and ankle area and the lower extremity itself. So obviously there is a whole host of issues that can go wrong here. We're going to cover some of the most common ones. And obviously before we do that, we'll look at just review the anatomy of the area, go through the clinical anatomy, and then we're going to look at the techniques we can apply to the foot itself. So if we look at what we're going to do today, we're going to start off with the function of the foot. All right. So the main function of the foot itself, right, is to provide a stable platform. If you don't have a stable platform, you're basically going to fall over. Okay. So essentially, we're going to generate propulsion. So we're going to be able to move. So the function of the foot is an incredibly vital piece of kit to us. The other one is shock absorption. Obviously, when we're walking and running, we obviously need to be able to absorb the shock of heel strike. And when it comes to the biomechanics of the foot, which we'll look at shortly, you'll see how important the mobility of all the joints within the foot actually are. And sometimes I think we take them a bit for granted. So, obviously, with the bones of the foot, you've got 28 in total. All right, 26 of them are actually within the foot. And obviously, the other two are the distal part of the tib and fib, which makes up the ankle mortise. So, there we are, a bit of revision for you, looking at all the bones of the foot. But obviously, when it comes to looking at them in detail, then obviously, we're going to look at how all these bones interact with one another, and how if you get dysfunction in one, it affects the other. Also, we need to look at the arches of the feet, how they can become problematic, and obviously if they do, how that impacts on the rest of the body. So obviously the foot is a very complex piece of kit, and obviously it's held together by very strong ligamentous tissue. And we'll look at some of the most commonly sprained ligaments in and around the foot and ankle today, what we can do to help that. Obviously, when we look at the structures in and around the foot itself, we need to look at some of the most common not just the bones of the foot, but the actual tendons that work, support the arches,